Deputy Boyd Barrett.
Thanks, Count Corley, and thanks for selecting this topical issue. Minister, we're increasingly a country of waiting lists. Shocking waiting lists for social housing, up to 20 years in my area. Shocking waiting lists for surgery in our health service. But I think possibly Gaelscoil Phadraig in Loughlinstown has endured the longest wait of all. Not a record they are happy with, I can tell you, of having waited 27 years for a permanent school. I mean, it's almost unbelievable. They have been in prefabs on a site that is 0.7 of an acre for 27 years. Many of those prefabs date back, those 27 years, to 2005, others to 2007, a few a little bit newer than that. So for all of those time, and of course many pupils have now gone through their entire primary school life in prefabs, without a school hall, without the facilities you would expect to do school plays, to do indoor sports activities in prefabs, all of that time. The reason for the delay is because they are waiting to move into the school building that is currently occupied by a special school, who in turn is waiting for one of the 58 projects that were recently announced that there was going to be further delays. So you could just imagine how gut-wrenching it is for Gaelscoil Phadraig, for all the pupils, the teachers, the school community, the parents, that after a 27-year-long wait and repeated promises that the construction of the Owen Meadows building, which is for a special school, which would then free up the building they're supposed to go in, that they would finally get their school, but no, that is now to be further delayed. And they've had promise after promise. For example, in 2020, they met the Department of Education, the building unit, and they were assured at that time that the project would drive ahead and that construction would begin by the end of 2020. Still nothing. And then they hear that there is yet a further delay. So once again, they don't know. Their school will have its 30th year celebration, anniversary, in 2025. And at this stage, they still don't know if after 30 years in existence, they will be in their permanent school home by that time. I mean, to be honest, you couldn't make it up, Minister. Now, that is a shocking, despicable, unacceptable way to treat this school, which, by the way, is a DESH Band 2 school in Loughlinstown, an area of significant disadvantage. And now, yet again, in the latest parliamentary question I got the answer to just the other day, still no commitment, no clear timeline as to when they are going to get their permanent location. So what they want to hear is that there will be no further delay and that they will be in their permanent school building before they reach their 30th anniversary.
Deputy Minister, please.
Thank you, Deputy, for your question, and I can appreciate your frustration, as you say, after 27 years. Although this isn't directly under my remit, I obviously have a particular interest in it, particularly because Gaelscoil Phadraig and its delivery is being impacted by the delay in progressing the project at Ballyowen Special School, and obviously as Minister for Special Education that is of concern to me. I am confident that additional funding will be provided, and I know that discussions are at a very advanced stage between the department and DEPR and the NDP in terms of making sure that projects like this go ahead. It does seem to me like an unconscionable delay. It's very unfortunate when you reference that meeting back in 2020 that COVID then came along into the equation, which obviously was not something that was envisaged at that particular time. I imagine when the department would have given assurances to the school, and not alone that, we also obviously had a major increase in terms of demographics, in terms of construction costs, in terms of inflation, in terms of ramping up additional capacity for children with additional needs, as well as Ukrainian pupils. So all of those together has resulted in the department being under major pressure. And in fairness, they did receive 300 million in additional funding back in 2022. And as I stated a few moments ago, and that did help to alleviate the capital funding in that particular year. And I've no doubt that it will be resolved as well for this year. I mean, the strong level of delivery is a key driver of capital pressures in the department. So, you know, in addition to the normal school budgetary processes, there are the other factors which I outlined to you as well. So it is something that I've been working very closely with the Minister for Education, obviously with the Minister Paschal Donoghue and indeed the Taoiseach, and they know my concerns in relation to this. I am assured, and I want to reassure you, Deputy, and the relevant school communities that any of these buildings that are currently on hold due to capital funding pressures will be progressed and will be delivered. It is just a question of timing. I know that may seem of cold comfort to you and the school after waiting 27 years, but from my own perspective and to say to you today, I am well aware of the urgency in relation to this particular project and indeed the other projects that are outstanding, and the outcome of our engagement and our continued engagement with DEPR will provide better clarity on the timelines for the progression of these projects. It is obviously of key concern to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Boyd Barrett.
Well, I mean, it is sort of grimly ironic that the response of the government and the minister is that it's a question of timing. Talk about stating the bleeding obvious. It's 27 years. It's exactly a question of timing. And it is beyond belief that a school could be waiting 27 years. I mean, we have often ministers sort of trumpeting the fact that they've approved new schools and so on. What you don't often hear is, yeah, but we haven't actually got a permanent building, in some cases no building at all, for these schools. But 27 years, Minister. It's beyond shocking. And I don't really understand where the sort of funding hold-up is. I mean, every time there's announcements about government tax revenue figures, they're sort of at record levels. There's enormous money available to this government, especially now, and I simply do not understand how the money cannot be available to progress the Ballyons project and therefore ensure that Gaelscoil Phadraig get into their permanent school building. I mean, it's, just think about it. These are pupils who, if it rains, because they have no school hall, extracurricular activity gone, indoor sports activity gone, if it rains. In many cases decrepit prefabs, but the school are terrified to get new prefabs because then they think, oh geez, if we get them, we'll be waiting even longer because they look at us and say, they're grand, they got some new prefabs. When they've been in some of these prefabs sitting there since 2005. Now, Minister, all of the 58 schools deserve a commitment. But a school that's been waiting 27 years need a commitment now. They need a commitment now. They deserve it. That there will be no delay. This will happen, and they will be in their permanent school location on their 30th anniversary.
Thank you very much, Deputy Minister Manning.
Thank you, Deputy. I do appreciate the fact that Gaelscoil Phadraig has 145 pupils, and no more than any other school deserves to be properly housed, for want of a better word, in adequate and appropriate accommodation. And I know that there is an advanced stage in terms of negotiations and discussions between the department and between DEPA, and I've been assured by both the Taoiseach and Minister Paschal Donoghue that it will be sorted out in early course. There were 180 school building projects delivered in 2022 and over 300 building projects at construction at the start of 2023. And I think it's important to note the current construction environment is very challenging, as you can appreciate, and it can be very difficult at times to attract strong interest from contractors and get them to stand over tender prices for projects proceeding to construction. But notwithstanding that, we're doing everything we can to make sure that we can deliver on these projects as soon as possible, and I can give you my assurance in relation to that.
Thank you very much, Minister.